He was like, those are explosives, because they were blowing up the mountain to save us.
It's one of those good moments where you mistake explosives for a dead body.
Sure,
Right.
it just happens, yeah.
It's fine.
It looked like it was gonna kill us.
For a moment.
The kids were screaming, and I look over at Pete, and he had grabbed his phone.
I actually do want to start by asking about the heavy stuff, because you two have some very exceptionally emotional scenes in this film, and I'm just curious, I'm hoping you guys can talk about kind of those days on set and talking with Nat Faxon and Jim Rash about those moments.
Well, I mean, I think what those moments were about were trying to keep true and real and authentic to these characters. So it was constantly talking about, you know, is it believable? Do we believe this? Does this ring true to you? I mean, it seems sort of pat, but I don't know, right?
And mixed in with the abject fear of not being able to do it. Like a little bit of like,
oh yeah,
I hope.
That's right.
You know, I speak for myself. Just I hope I
can
deliver and summon this and give it the performance that it deserves, because it's so well written, and I don't want to let anyone else down. And
I felt the same, but that
But that was
adrenaline
kind of-
helped
yeah,
too, right?
Yeah.
What's interesting for you is that like audiences are kind of familiar with laughing when you're crying on scene.
I'm in a glass case of emotion!
So I imagine that kind of even just kind of moderating the emotion that you put out was kind of a part of the process.
Except once, I mean, you know, it became very real, especially in the living room scene, watching the pain that Julia's going through. It's just, it would hit me. No matter how many times we would do that scene, which we did
A gazillion times.
numerous times, it hit me so horribly. There's so much shame in that scene for me, and I didn't have to act.
Not much acting,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
How could I run away in ski boots?
What?
Can you run in ski boots?
Not very well.
Boom. Exactly.
Regardless, I wouldn't leave my family to die.
That's boom.
One thing that was really interesting about shooting that scene is Will and Julia are obviously like these iconic creative heroes for us. So watching these people who you really admire in a creative sense be so shabby in a fictional sense, it was a weird sort of collision of like admiration and awe at their talents, and also like pity and horror at their characters' behavior.
Well, you'd worked with both of them before in completely different contexts too. So yeah,
I think shooting that scene was really exciting. It was like a play.
It was like a play. Yeah, we shot it over 3 days, and Nat and Jim are so trusting, and I sort of think they just set it up so we could run with it. And honestly, just watching those powerhouses like collide, I don't feel like we had to do that much. Just be there.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's in the timing too, because those pregnant pauses are just right on point.
And that's the editing too. Like that editor, like I feel like actors like are truly at the mercy of the editing, and the editing of that scene is really spot on.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, you know, while there's differences within it, you know, that's such an iconic sort of moment you need from Force Majeure and Downhill, this little play in the middle of this movie. And so I think part of that was, you know, obviously changed a little bit within our characters and some of the logistics. And for us, it was, you know, we shot it all over and over and over again from beginning to end without cutting around. Wow. So we just did 3 days of that. So it really was like you were rehearsing a play. And I think we, you know, to be honest with you, because we spent 3 days with it, they sat down, we read it through, and then we just started shooting. And I think, you know, the luxury of that is discoveries were made along the way.
Sure.
Yeah.
Julia's moment is so captivating. You're so in that moment with her. What were the kind of conversations that you had with her, particularly just as also being the role of producer?
Yeah.
I think just as far as the levels of her performance, I mean, she gives such an incredibly honest and raw performance that we were kind of at the monitor being like, well, I don't know what to say. That was so
I
good.
had things to say. And
Yeah,
she
you
heard
had a
them.
lot of notes.
I would say my note sessions with her were about 20 minutes after each take.
But like Jim said, I think the benefit of being able to do it over a long period of time was just sort of discovering the nuances and the subtleties, and her character sort of processing of the information, and then the discovery that, you know, her husband lied to her, all the resentment
she's
and
going on,
anger,
yeah.
you know, through that whole, you know, where it all just sort of comes out.
Sure.
And I think it was fun for us to be able to watch, and the scene really serves as a foundation kind of tonally for the rest of the film, where we loved that sort of cringy discomfort and the awkwardness in the scene, and sort of as the audience is kind of seeing it through Zach and Rosie, you know, they are sort of portraying us watching. I think, you know, we were just happy that we had the time to, I think, explore it and really get everything we wanted out of it.
Well, I mean, just with these writers, though, I mean, you're dealing with 2 Oscar winners and an Emmy winner. Was there kind of still latitude to do improvisation, kind of bring your own energies to these characters?
Yeah, but I had the line say I was an Obie winner, or they weren't interested in what I had.
And I wasn't allowed to improvise because I don't have any.
You didn't have the laurels.
Yeah.
No, they were very nice. I mean, you know, the vast majority of what's in the movie is scripted, and the script was, like, phenomenal. And it's always nice when the improv can be supplementary as opposed to reparative. Like, occasionally you'll be on a project where it's like, oh, God, we have to find this. Whereas this, it's just like gravy. It's just like, the script becomes this, you want to improvise because it's like this incredible springboard and you want to enjoy the trampoline of it or whatever. But
yes, that would.
Yeah. I have to say, I am a Seinfeld fanatic. Like, it is one of my most obsessive things. And when Force Majeure came out, I immediately clicked to the fire episode of the show where George Costanza sees a fire and starts trampling children and an elderly woman.
You're the second person to mention that.
I think I smell some smoke back here.
I was curious if that was something that kind of ever came to you as you were developing this project.
No,
Yeah?
it
No?
didn't. I will admit to you that I don't really rewatch a lot of the episodes, so I had actually kind of forgotten about that episode, which is a great one. But
Yeah. I mean, well, what do you think it kind of says about the story impact of what Seinfeld was doing then, and still, like, you're still seeing those kind of stories now?
well, I think some of the themes of Seinfeld back in the day they resonate. That's why the show's still popular, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
No, just you saying that, I was like, yes, that's true. It's true. I mean, I think I'm sure if you even went through a bunch of YouTube videos, you could find real life moments like that where somebody, which I think is sort of the fun of it, because just it's easy to be on the outside and know exactly how you would do. And it's one thing, and a different thing to be in there and experience it and think you know exactly what you would do.
But yeah, the actual reality of it.
Yes, and I think that's sort of hopefully the debate and conversation you have after you watch the film, much like the original. You know, it's a conversation of how well do you think you really know someone, and even how well do you really know yourself, you know, and what would you do?
For sure.
I don't understand why there weren't any warnings posted anywhere.
There was a warning.
What?
Posted at lifts, gondolas, hotel receptions, restaurants, shops, bars, soda machines, toilets.
We didn't see any of that.
Well,
And I actually also just want to ask you about the environment in which you were filming, because you were in Austria, you were actually in avalanche country.
for sure.
Was this something that you were very cognizant on? Like, was it a kind of heightened atmosphere?
There's no question.
Yeah.
And also because was that 2 winters ago? Anyway.
No, last winter.
Just last winter, that's right. They were going through a massive avalanche. There was so much snowfall, and a lot of the resort towns around us, luckily not the 2 we shot in, were
Getting dumped.
and so it was on the news every single night.
Yeah.
Granted, the news is in German, so I couldn't understand it, but I knew, yeah, it was serious business.
We were experiencing avalanche warnings of 4 and 5, which is 5's the top. And I remember taking one of my 5 ski lessons and a bag being helicoptered over. And I was like, is that a body bag?
Yeah.
And the guy was like, no. Oh, my ski instructor had the most amazing teeth.
Yeah.
They were horizontal.
You mean that they were like a MC Escher mouth?
Yeah. And he was so great. I loved him so much. But he was like, those are explosives, because they were blowing up the mountain to save us.
It's one of those good moments where you mistake explosives for a dead body.
Sure,
Right.
it just happens, yeah, every day on a film.
It was a big bag.
No, I wasn't ridiculing you. It's just like anytime you're relieved that the bag is full of explosives,
totally.
things aren't going particularly well.
So true.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
The cannons go off all night.
Yes, so
know,
you hear them and you're
especially after a
reminded.
big dump of snow.
But we also got an exorbitant amount of snow in the month of December, which is normally, this was last year, and which is normally not a time where they get a lot of snow. So I think everyone was sort of a little surprised. And I think when you get that much snow that early on, it can be a little riskier. And so the stories were coming out constantly of places around us that were,
Areas
experiencing
that weren't
avalanches.
resorts, but yes.
Yes,
It was
backcountry or whatever.
Yeah.
But we would get videos, you'd be watching
like,
like, who,
But
you
again,
know.
yeah. But you had something to show people and go like, that's what it should look
That's
like.
what it's-
Exactly,
Yeah.
I was just like influenced the movie.
Yeah,
Exactly.
There you got it.
There's only one thing I have to worry about right now, and that's going down.
Here's the point.
What's your point?
Warning or no warning, we would just like some acknowledgement that it was handled poorly.
It was handled perfectly.